You got it?
And welcome back. Welcome back. We're about to venture off into our second segment conversation for this wonderful Wednesday morning. As a matter of fact, this Saturday is definitely one you want to pay attention to. The launch of the Belize Brain Awareness Society. Now we've got the professionals in to tell us all about it. As a matter of fact, we've got Kayla Nunez. She's actually the CEO and founder of Belize Brain Awareness Society. She's right here with the black. And we also have in with us Doris Sutherland, member of the board of directors, and of course she's a nutritionist. She's right there, lovely dress. And none other as well, Dr. Marco Tulio Mendez, who is a pediatric neurologist actually. Did I get it correctly?
Yes.
Yes.
Doc, it's so nice to see you. It's so nice to see you all. Welcome and good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
And my brain is excited to have this conversation.
Yes. It went around. The launch of the Brain Awareness Society. Why a Brain Awareness Society?
Well, I can answer that question very well. For me, I had 2 brain aneurysms and I completed 2 brain surgeries. And what happened is that I really didn't realize, as simple as headaches and migraines that I had in my early stages, it was something more traumatic. And it waited until I was 25 years old. Now I'm 31, which caused a rupture. And from then on, when I fell, I couldn't walk. I could have barely talked. And my vision was blurry. And then I realized how powerful the brain is. I have always known, but I realized at that point that is something that needed to come out in our society. Yeah. I had no support group. I had no one to turn to. Most of the times you hear people having brain aneurysm and they would normally pass away. I only had my doctor to go and speak with. After I came back from completing my surgery in 2016, I decided, you know what? This is something that we need in Belize. And people need to realize how powerful the brain is, from how we walk, how we talk, how we think. Everything, it controls every single thing that we do.
Yeah. What was the cause of your brain aneurysm?
Well, mine was hereditary.
Okay.
I had a cousin that had died from it. My great-grandfather passed away from it. He bled in all holes on his face. Wow. And what the doctors in Cuba realized that I actually had it during my mother's pregnancy. And they went as far back as to informing me how long I had it, but it grew with me the older I got. So it was waiting for the opportune time.
So you had a genetic predisposition?
Yes, I had a genetic, yes.
So let's get back to what brain aneurysm is.
Yeah. Doc?
Yeah. Well, the aneurysm is basically a tightening of the wall that causes the artery or the vein to bulge, and certain, for example, if she gets excited or high blood pressures, that it could cause rupture and bleeding in the brain. It has when there is bleeding, it has a high mortality, more or less up to 40–50%. I mean, she was very lucky.
Yeah.
And where did you do the surgery?
I completed the surgery in Cuba. I did. I had the first one. I got enlisted into the Ministry of Health has a partnership with Cuba in terms of how they assist persons, and I was one who was granted it in 2015, and in 2016 I completed 2 brain surgeries. It was the angiogram that went from the artery in the leg and it went directly to the brain.
Yeah, that's an exam that they do. Just they put something through the artery and the leg, and they go way up to the brain, and it could see the entire blood vessels. No? And once they identify it, then they go on operation.
So we won't even talk about the complexity of that surgery and whether
yes,
it's accessible.
Yes.
But well, not yet. But what I want to get at is to get a bit more understanding as to the people who are predisposed to having these types of traumatic instances with their brain, and understanding a bit of the brain function and how we lead to issues like this. Let's talk about that.
Well, with her, it was hereditary.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it presents over 30, 35 years old. She was, 25 when she presented.
Yes.
So it's unusual. But of course, it is the mortality rate is very, very high.
Yeah.
And most of the time, people complain about headaches.
Yeah.
And throbbing types of headaches.
Yeah.
Of course, when it ruptures, it is a severe, severe headache.
Yeah.
And it needs hospitalization.
So you mean when there's the rupture, you may not like just pass out and be rushed to the hospital. You may
have the headache, severe headache, but most of the time, yes, you need to get hospitalized.
And it's like the worst headache you can ever ask for. Because literally I heard when it burst.
Yeah. So you heard when it burst?
Yes, I heard when it burst. It burst right here. And hence after my surgery, I can't hear from these ears. Yeah. Because I had it twice.
So your society is set up so that you can have people understand, just as we are talking right now, part of your education, that that certain people may be predisposed to this, certain conditions may lead us to this. Yes. Why is this so important to you? And how did you get this team on board?
Yes.
This is very much important to me, as I mentioned, that people neglect the brain too much.
Take it for granted.
And take it for granted. I am hearing other societies, and there are other societies, we have the diabetes, we have the kidney, we have the cancer, but not everyone has those. Everyone has a brain, and that's a big difference. Yeah. And we have to learn that how we move, how we talk, everything that we do, the brain controls every single thing. I went about getting my team as I wanted mostly consultants, the persons that are specialized. When I went to Cuba, how Miss Doris came about, when I went to Cuba, my weight, how I was eating my dietary was a bit of a problem. And Dr. Sosa, who is my neurologist, he always mentioned to me the things that I eat, the weight, and how the illness does not like weight. So I decided, you know what? If we're doing a brain society, we needed a nutritionist. Because so many things, what we consume inside, it needs to come from a specialized person. Not just us at the office saying, you know what, this is what you need to do and this is what you need to eat. But Miss here can actually give the listings of things that you need to acquire or consume when you're having any sort of brain illness. And brain illness is not just what I had. It's Alzheimer's. It's as simple as depression, anxiety, phobia. Those are the mental parts of it. You have sleeping illnesses. You have seizures. You have epilepsy. And so Miss Doris's part is to help us to have a healthy brain and a healthy body with that.
So Doris, let's get to you. Talk about the nutrition and what it does to situation.
Okay. Well, first of all, the brain consumes up to 20% of our total energy. Basically, most of the energy from what we consume.
So when we say our brain is tired, we are really tired.
Tired. Yes. And our brain is something, like we've been mentioning, it's something that is always on. Okay, it controls our movements, okay, our thinking, it even works while we sleep. So what we feed our brain will depend on how well it will work. Okay, there are certain intelligent nutrients, okay, that help to provide better concentration, help to improve memory loss, okay, and also helps to provide better nerve function.
Now, Kayla said that her weight and what she was eating was not helping her with her issue. Why is that?
Okay. Now, the weight, basically the excess body fat, that only affects multiple organs, but also the brain. Okay, also the brain is occupied by 60% body fat. Okay, and if we consume unhealthy foods, especially unhealthy fats and a lot of sugars, all of these unhealthy nutrients are impacting the brain. Okay, and then, well, that will reflect on how well it functions. Remember that the brain is not only connected to our head, it is also connected to certain body functions or certain body parts. So what we eat will definitely affect how well we coordinate.
Yes, that's very important. That's very, very important to know. I mean, with the cholesterol that she was referring to, most of the time that could affect, I mean, that affects also the brain, the arteries of the brain, and it makes the wall weak. For example, with her, yes, that could be a factor that could predispose to those that are not hereditary to have an aneurysm, okay? But also to stroke and many other problems. No? So nutrition is very, very important. And of course, we know that Belize has the diseases that are affecting us and killing us are the non-communicable. I mean, they are the non-communicable. The infectious diseases have already decreased. And those that are non-communicable diseases, well, we have stroke, of course, people are high, we have it in the first 4 causes of mortality in Belize. There's stroke, there's diabetes, hypertension, which affects the brain.
Which affects the brain. But culturally, you know, culturally, I would say we're not doing too good in terms of what we're eating. Because we're so used to what we grow up eating. And for a lot of people, we don't look at it as, you know what, this is actually brain food or this is not brain food, when her situation is very important. Can you talk about you know, what we eat culturally and how it's not helping?
Okay.
If possible.
Yes. We've actually been doing some surveys in some small clinics, asking them, for example, what type of cooking oil are you using? What type of fats are you consuming? How often do you eat outside of the house? Okay, those types of questions. And we find that many of the choices are very, very unhealthy. Okay, we see a lot of people consuming high amounts of coconut oil, more than 2 times a day. Okay, we see a lot of margarine, a lot of lard, a lot of sugar being placed into the foods, and a lot of people eating outside of the home. Okay, and basically when we eat outside of the home, well, there's excess salt, okay, there's excess unhealthy fats, okay, and then we don't actually get to see what is in the meal that we're eating. Okay. Also, most of us don't tend to eat at our right hours, okay? We need to start to identify when we are actually physically hungry or when we are emotionally hungry. Because we tend to...
Or thirsty.
Or thirsty. Okay, we tend to eat when we're stuffed, when we're full, okay? We tend to eat at all hours of the day when we're depressed, okay? So we need to identify these signs of hunger as well.
Wow.
Okay, and then with that, with nutrition also comes the psychological part, okay, and the counseling, which is also what we have in the organization as well.
And what about brain healthy foods, supplements? You know, there are tons of supplements. People see brain this, brain that. What is helpful in whether it is keeping good memory, staying sharp, or just good brain health? Is there anything you can increase?
Well, as I mentioned, there are intelligent nutrients. One of the main ones is the increase the consumption of foods that have omega-3. Okay, omega-3, we find them in fatty fish, in avocados, in nuts. Okay, those are foods that help to improve the nerve function and also help to avoid memory loss and help in concentration. Okay, foods that contain folic acid as well help with the brain. Okay, there's also, well, the folic acid would help to prevent the neural tube defect that is found basically in children. Okay, most of these nutrients, you find them in green vegetables, okay, on healthy oils. We'd want to choose oils that would always say omega-3, okay? We'd want to go as natural as possible so as not to start to consume supplements, okay? We want to try to get most of the benefits from the food. That we eat.
Now, Dr. Mendez, tell us about the gamut of brain, because I feel like there's so many things I could think of. You know, you're talking about brain aneurysms. Naturally, we think of the impacts of things like hypertension and strokes that we do see. But what are some of the main issues that we see, complications, brain diseases that we're seeing in Belize?
Yeah, well, as I was saying, the non-communicable diseases, the diseases that we acquire, the ones that are not infectious, basically those are the ones that are increasing incidence. No? Doris was saying something very, very important with the nutrition. This problem that we sometimes could go through in adult, most of the time it had started in children. Okay, so that are the effects of not eating healthy from when you are a child.
Yeah.
Diabetes, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, we have there, Mexico is the #1 in the world with diabetes. And of course, their products come into Belize. Here, it is also being the #1. Okay,
Yeah.
so nutrition is very, very important. Okay, but there are many diseases that, that could affect the brain, and it depends on the age. Okay? We're referring to, for example, epilepsy. It is more common in children, but of course, it could present itself also in adults. No, but we have a cerebral palsy. Okay.
Yeah.
Which most of the time starts in the first 3 years during pregnancy and could be prevented. So those are the things that we want to be
make people aware
educating people of the prevention, because what happens is that when the brain is affected, the cells of the brain, they don't regenerate. Okay, while other cells regenerate. She was saying that when she had aneurysm and it burst, and she had problems hearing. It's not, the problem is not in
The
her
ear.
It's in the brain where it reaches. So that has been damaged, and it's very difficult for her to
repair that. Okay. What about degenerative diseases? How preventable are those? When you're talking about brain and brain health, are there things that we perhaps are doing that contribute towards dementia and Alzheimer's and?
Yes, of course, and there is predisposition also with certain types of food predisposes, and of course, Doris could really elaborate on that. But for example, foods with vitamin E. Most of the time, with patients that have Alzheimer's disease, we would prescribe vitamin E because that has been shown that it is antioxidant. Most of the brain cells that die with persons that have Alzheimer's, we need food that are antioxidant. Okay, and there is a predisposition hereditary of Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease. Okay, which most of the time is food. Okay, and how certain areas of the brain, which are the ones that are altered with Alzheimer's disease and also Parkinson's disease, are affected with the nutrition.
Wow. You know,
and so many issues.
Yes.
And on my page, I share those because what I'm trying to do is to break it down to Belizeans. And recently, Dr. Marco recently said about the Parkinson's disease. And when I placed it on my Facebook page, persons said that they didn't know. So then I tied it with what we would know best, or what we can relate to best, which is the boxer Muhammad Ali, what he had. That is actually Parkinson's disease. And so I want to educate people, and so that they can also relate to these things. What is it, the brain organization that we are having here? It's not only about the neurological aspect, but it's also the mental aspect. And that's the reason why we have Miss Ingrid Bonilla, the psychiatric nurse. And that's the reason why we have Miss Myrna Manzanares, the counselor. Because we neglect anxiety, we neglect depression. We feel like these are normal feelings, but if you're having them constantly, they become severe. And these should be medicated, like what Miss Doris said. We should watch our nutrition with it, and we need to seek help. We need to see these psychiatric nurses. We also need to speak with these counselors. So hence the reason why my board of directors is made up of 7 consultants. We have 2 here. I have Dr. Marco Mendez, who's a pediatric neurologist. We have Miss Doris, who is the nutritionist. We have Dr. John Sosa, who is the neurologist for the adults. Because Dr. Marco here deals with the children and the adolescents. We have Miss Mirna Manzanares, who is the counselor. We have Fernando Cuellar, internist. We have Dr. Ramon Yakab, who is the oncologist, but he will be dealing with brain tumors and brain cancers. I'm missing someone.
Ingrid Bonilla.
Miss Ingrid Bonilla, the psychiatric nurse. So I wanted my board of directors to be
all aspects of your brain.
Thank you. Everything, because it's a huge organization.
All you need is a mathematician to tell you to do more Sudoku, right?
Exactly. All I had was the passion, the drive, my experience. But these people have the skills. And then we have, you know, our financial officer or financial advisor. But they are specialized in their own area. But what people will see and who they will meet will be especially our consultants, because they need the proper guidance. Instead of coming to the office and the assistant there just speaks with them.
So let me ask you, I mean, that's a pretty great team that you've put together.
And very great.
It really shows just how the brain has an impact in so many different areas of your lives. But what do you hope that this society, what do all of you hope in your contribution, what do you hope to be able to achieve? Before we get to Kayla, let's start with Dr. Mendez and Doris.
Well, the educational part is very important, okay? Prevention, as you all know, is better than cure. And with the brain, it is very important, the preventive measures that we could, educate the people, okay? So that is one, I would say that is one of the biggest aspects within the organization. Of course, the assistance, I mean, any problem that deals with the brain is traumatizing to the entire family, and of course costly. Okay, so they are, with her idea, it is very, very important, and it is very, very, I would say, crucial to our society because of how expensive it is. Getting an organization as this and assistance from outside, it is very important, okay, because of the burden that it costs on the people.
Okay. Well, like Dr. Mendez mentioned, the prevention is very important. Well, with nutrition, what we always want to try to do is alleviate the symptoms. Okay, maybe nutrition might not be the quick fix or the actual treatment, okay, but it also helps to extend the life a lot longer. Okay, we tend to be able to control a lot of the depression, the anxiety through the counseling, and also as well through the diet.
And in fact, with some mental health disorders or mental health illnesses, there are certain foods that can help you, and also some foods that will not help you as well, right?
Yes, yes, because when we have depression, we tend to eat anything. Okay, we would skip meals, and eventually we would go on to eating anything that we find, and all of that will only impact the brain, but also impact other body parts.
The entire body.
And for you, as the founder, what are you hoping to achieve?
Like my board of directors mentioned, the education part. Up till I was 25, I didn't realize something as simple as headaches, something as simple as migraines. It was telling me a story in my body that I really didn't pay attention to. And I waited until it happened to me for me to find out, educate myself, and learn more about my illness. Yeah. But right at this moment, I said, this is something that I want to help other people. Yeah. We need to learn and understand that our illness lives in our body. Yeah. We don't live in the illness. And that is one of that is my main thing. And my other hope is that people will know that we're also there to support. Yeah. We understand. The young lady that is our assistant, Ms. Tanisha Flores, her mother recently passed away in March from stroke, and she had many seizures. So well, on her behalf, she was a caretaker, and some of us, I am someone who experienced it, and with them, they're the specialized person. Yeah. So it's three aspects. We're here to educate, we're here to support, and we're here to change lives. What I mean by change lives, through the education and the support, it will help people to see things differently. Yeah.
Lives will be changed.
And lives will be changed, and through any assistance that we can. So right now what we're trying to do is to get these partnerships and these assistants.
So you're trying to raise money for any person who may need care as well.
Yes, we're trying to help them.
Assistance in seeking care.
And we have asked the board of directors, because we have a membership. Yeah. The board of directors have offered that once the referral comes from the organization, that they will lessen their costs. Wow. And these board of directors, they work at some very prestigious hospitals. So I can tell anyone it's very much needed. Yes. Dr. Marco Mendez is at Orange Walk, and sometimes he comes into Belize City. Yeah. And Miss Doris here is at Belize Healthcare Partners. Yeah. These people have their price.
Busy people too.
And they're very busy, but then once it comes from through the organization, you reap the benefits of these consultants. Yeah. And this is what we want people to understand.
But Kayla is very convincing. I can understand how you all want
to be a member.
Before we move to the launch, I just want to get one thing out. You know, we can't talk about brain and brain awareness without giving people some red flags. There may be someone at home who's been struggling with something and don't know that they're potentially in danger. Tell us some of the red flags when it comes to your brain, that you need to just go to a doctor and check it. Maybe nothing, but it may be something important as well.
Of course. For example, with the headaches. Yeah. Well, with the headaches, majority of times it is due to either stress, okay, and those headaches, stress headaches, more are to the posterior to the and both sides. No? We have the migraine, okay. The migraine, the headaches are more up and down, and they are pulsatile, okay, and they go, well, they are recurrent. They come and go. But once we have a headache that is increasing in intensity, it wakes up us at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. That means there is something that might be going, that it is increasing the pressure inside of the brain, and we need to be more careful.
Cluster headaches.
Yes. Well, cluster headaches are type of migraine, okay, and which are pulsatile also, and it affects the brain, and most of the time it responds to oxygen. So there are certain types of headaches, migraines, that have a particular way of
So a red flag headache is one that increases in intensity and does not stop.
And does not stop. Okay. And if it is accompanied by vomiting, it wakes you up in the morning. It is something that you need to be aware that you need to.
That's a good red flag. Anything else?
Well, for example, with epilepsy, okay, epilepsy most of the time, yes, it starts in children, but there are many types of epilepsy. Sometimes we think that epilepsy just fits on being with the movements of the extremities, but sometimes epilepsy could be just a pause. For example, children that are having learning disorders, they could have just pause and then they continue, and that could be causing problems with their learning. So in children, there are many problems with learning disorders that one could be treating, and the child could afterwards be productive.
All right, good. And so let's talk about this launch then. Closing point.
Okay. Our launch is this Saturday at the Biltmore Plaza. And we will have the board of directors there. Well, it's made up of 7 of us. 11 of us. And they will be explaining further what it is that they do, what it is that they will be doing, and how we will make sure that this organization keeps going. Also, it's a mixer, so officials are invited. We have the U.S. Embassy that will be there as well. We want.
Is it open to the public?
No, it's not open to the public.
Okay.
It's actually, we have gotten the toucan room with 50, for 50.
Okay.
So, yes, and our administrative assistant, she has the names of those that have already been gotten invited. And we still have a little room for more if you guys would like to join us and be there. And the media houses. But this is for Belizeans to know that there is a place that you can come to when it comes to any problem with the brain.
Do you have a physical office as yet, or it's only online?
Yes, it's we have an office space, and I need to thank you for asking, Miss Marlene. I need to give a big thanks to Mr. The mayor of Belmopan, and Mr. Fraser, Ralston Fraser, the administrative, I'm forgetting, for the City Hall in Belmopan. He gave us an office space. I was all confused on where the office would be, and with open arms, they are hosting us. So we have the membership papers there. We have our office set up there, and
so your
everything.
Office is in Belmopan.
And the referrals and everything. It's in Belmopan because I live there.
Okay. And lastly, for any more information, you do have a Facebook page. How do people find you?
Our Facebook page is actually Belize Brain Awareness Society.
Okay.
That's the page. That is also the group name as well. And I highlight these exceptional people. We give updates on what we're doing. So as I'm speaking earlier, yesterday they were informed that we will be on Open Your Eyes. We also have our cell number that the assistant holds, which is 614-50-55. If you would like to become a member. Some people have called us and said that they're all the way in this area or that area, and we're trying to make sure that we accommodate everyone that becomes a member, because our highlight is people that are members, and our membership is fairly cheap. I mean, reasonable. $30 a year.
Oh wow, that's reasonable.
Very reasonable.
Excellent.
I think you found an area that is very much underserved, and by the board of directors that you've put together, cross-cutting in many areas. So we really wish you the best of luck, and we thank you for coming on and telling us all about your story and what prompted everybody else to get on board. So thank you. We'll be eating omega-3 and paying attention to those headaches. And if we want more information, we will find the Facebook page, the Belize Brain Awareness Society. Thank you once again. We're gonna go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the Artist Paint Night with 2 artists, so stay tuned.